Okay, now we can start, if you agree. So, thanks again for attending the PhD Summer School on Active and Healthy Aging, Well-being and Smart Living, Challenges in Every Technology. This is day 4, and today we have the following schedule. We have, as the first lecture, we have Design from Research to Care, State of the Art and Challenges. This is part 1. And this comes from Professor Niccolò Casildo and Professor Claudia Porfirione from the Università di Genoa, Italy. And after we will have 10 minutes of break. And after the break, we at 4:30, we have the second part of this topic on design from research to care, state of the art and challenges. And this comes from Dr. Emanuele Micheli and Dr. Matteo Valoriani, also again from Università di Genoa, Italy. So, and at the end of the day, you can, of course, you can take the test, okay? And we will provide you the links about this. So, at this point, I would like to welcome Professor Niccolò Casildo. I mean, I have a strong friendship with him, and so Professor, the floor is yours, and it's a great pleasure to have here in this summer school.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody. We start with our lesson. The first part of this lesson is about the approach that we used to the for design. Sorry, I wanted just a moment. Okay, and in the second part of the afternoon, Emanuele speak about some special case about this. And to introduce the approach to the project that we propose today, we will refer to a book of Simon Sinek, written a few years ago. This is the book. I don't know if everybody can say, I think yes. This is the book. And the concept proposed in this book are mostly for managers and for companies, but are perfectly applicable to the design process. The book is titled Start With Why, and it was introduced by a TED Talk in 2009, I think, more or less. This is the, now I try if it's okay. I hope that you can see. Okay, and so we can start. And what I explained in the first part of this lesson concern the mostly how we can approach to the design process, and so this is the book. Okay, the first answer that we can in which we can confront is I don't know why did you choose to participate in this lesson, or why are you with that person, or why do you love that city so much, or why do you like your favorite singer or band so much? The answer of each of these questions is very difficult to formulate, of course, but it already lies the question itself. The answer is why. the why is really the very big answer of every problem of project that we can have. And Simon Sinek say that divide people in two categories: people that are lived and work like leaders, and people that want to inspire other people. And this is the question that about we want to speak in this talk. I start with an example. Samuel Langley in the beginning on the 19 was a senior executive at the Smithsonian Institute, and he desired be remembered as the first man who ever flew. He have a lot of friendship, and he managed to obtain a lot of money from the War Department of USA, and he can set up a real dream team of experts considered among the best of this of the time, and he bought best materials and exploit his position to make follow this Titanic enterprise from the press. In the same time, not so far away, two brothers were focused on the same dream. They have not money. They have not attention from press, but and they had a lot of friends that can help them, and they didn't want to be remembered as the first man to fly. They want just to fly, no more. It was a big dream for them. And of course, they were the Wright brothers, and we know the history when it goes. And this it is. If you ask the question, why are your customers your customers? Everyone will answer for maybe for our quality or our price or for our service, because they are superior to that or of competitors or like this. This assume an incomplete or imperfect conception of what really drives the business and its customers. in this situation, to have success in our enterprise, everybody can choose two ways, maybe. One is to manipulate. The other one is to inspire. Manipulating presupposes several characteristics, but we must explain step by step this. The first step is use the price war. Price is a very effective. Lower the price and people will buy from you. The problem is that it behaves like a drug. Once you are addicted to the strategy, your product becomes a commodity, and there is no chance to turning back. Another way to manipulate is fear, real or perceived. Fear is the strongest manipulation. This tactic used by terrorism, for example, it is not the statistical probability of being killed, which by the way is very low, but the perception that it can happen. Insurance company leverage fear from us because it's too late. This is the claim of them. Another way is the ambition. Leverage is based on the object we would like to have or the people we would like to be. The difference is, for example, who buys a gym membership, the aspiration, and who actually goes to the gym, inspiration. Another way to manipulate is the majority. The majority is to stay in the majority is like to stay in the comfort zone. The pressure exerted by the majorities or the expert work through to the fear of being wrong. If you must say, if they all do it, must be like this. These tactics make use the celebrities with whom we. Prego. Sorry. Yes, you can make some opposition of this strategy. Maybe the what says our grandmothers when we was child. If your friend put the heads in the oven, would you do it too or not? This is a big antidote of this. And more, for manipulation is the news, identity or a feature to the product or service does not mean innovating. We must be really careful of this. Manipulation is a verbal strategy for just making a single transaction, not if you want a long-term loyal relationship. And when we plan, we design, we must choose if we want something like one shot and no more, or a long-term relationship. I think that we must go in the second way, and Simon Sinek say this in his book, of course. And at this point in the book of Sinek is introduced one concept, and the concept is the golden circle. The golden circle consists in three principal concepts: the why, the how, and the what. The what is it's something that every single company or organization know what it's offer. It is enough to describe the product or the service, and for designer, it's enough to describe what we have do in our activity to design. But the how is the real heart of our process. Somebody, some company, or some designer know what the product or service offer, and many think that that this is enough to explain how a company is different or better than the competition. How is the real difference between one company and another, or between one designer and another one? To understand real the how you can do the what you do is the it's together what is the culture of everybody, what we can real make different from the other. The why is the real strong question. Few companies or organizations have a clear vision of why they do what they do. This is the problem. What is the purpose, the cause or their belief? Why should anyone care for this? An example of this difference between the why, the how, and the what is the we can have like for example what happened in Apple company. This golden circle offer an interesting example about this. The reason for Apple's success is in the principal way the way by Apple communicate with customers. Most companies talk about their products, features, specification, and they start comparing themselves with other products on the market. And maybe they start in this with this reason. We have a very good product and with a lot of innovation inside, or like this. For Apple is a little bit different because they start with a big inspiration. They started to say everything we do because we believe in changing the status quo. We believe in thinking in a different way. And they propose a big challenge, and because they say that how they do what they do, and they make our products well designed, simple to use, and user friendly. And in the end, they say, oh, and the final of this process is that we make a great computer or great phone or great watch. And so, do you want to buy one of our products? And so, for this, they can real have near in this dream people that won't buy their product. This is the success for long time, not only for one shot and short time. And so this is the way of the golden circle, to understand really the motivation, to know the process, how can I do this? And in the end, we can have the right product or the right project that we are doing. And explain your why means be able to share the ideas in which other people feel they belong. When we feel we belong to a group, we feel connected to other people, and therefore we feel safe ourselves. This is the big way to motivate people in our project, in our ideas. Cine make this compare it between the golden circle and the human brain. And he says that the neocortex is the most recent area of the brain, and that corresponds to the what level of the golden circle. This is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thinking and language. And in the other side, the limbic brain corresponds to the two central how and why section of the golden circle, and is responsible for all of our feeling, such as trust and loyalty. This area, the brain of the brain, is responsible for whole human behavior and our entire decision-making process. And this is the reason for what if we clear really well our the why of our process, sure we can have a big success in our project. But if we want to stay on the side of inspiration, it's important that we can have a real clear the why. If people don't buy what you do, but buy the why you do it. This is the real important thing. Then if you don't know your why, who else can know this? To inspire people, it is good to have a clear vision of our why. This is the most important step of the project process, to clarify and to be sure of the why we are doing what we do. In the end, it's important the awareness of the how. The question is, how are you going to do it? How are your values, your principle? This is the how is the manifestation of the culture of the designer, of a company, of a nation. Understanding the how offer a great deal of skill in hiring people or find the right partners. Also, it's important that we know how we need to do something, and also till when we can go and when we must to stop ourselves. This is very important in the project. And in the end, it's important the consistency of the what. If the what are, if the why are one's value, how the action to achieve it, then the what is the result of this action. And if you know really well what we are doing, we are really, we can say really that in our process there is a big level of authenticity, and this is very important. In the end, Sinek say that the big difference is that when people are invested by economically or financially aspect, and we are in this way of manipulation, they want immediately a return, an advantage. But when people are emotionally involved, they are so we are in the way of inspire. Then they want to contribute to our process, and so we can have for a long time a connection with them. Martin Luther King says, I have a dream. He don't say, I have a plan. And he says this, and he he, he, he gives for presents to the people a big inspiration when he says, I have a dream. And this maybe is what we must do when we are in this activity of to plan something. And this is also used this approach when during the job interviews. And in this, it's not enough that people that you are qualified for the job, but the company want to know your why and why you have chosen their company to work for. We don't just ask, who do we hire? You have to find the match between can you do the job and can you thrive in our culture? Can you do the work? But it's important, can you do the work here? And so this point of connection between these two situations is the right success point. And we must also know who are the people for who we are to plan, to design. And usually the people that can buy our products and what we are planned are divided in these categories. The innovators, really few people are in this category, and they are people that buy at once new products. They want to be the first to have such everything is new. There are also a little bit more people that called from SINEC early adopters. They too appreciate novelty and can see the potential of new products or idea. Also, there is a early majority. They are people that don't feel something until someone else has already tried it. They prefer to be sure about what they are they must try or to buy. And more or less the same quantity of people, the late majority, they don't feel to try or to buy new ideas or new products, but in the end they accept them and they buy it. And in the end, laggards people, they buy new products only because there is the old is not longer produced. They cannot find the old products, and so they must buy the new. And so we must ask ourselves, but for who we are designed, we are planned, and sure that there is this chasm, this that divide into this category of people, and to the right of this curve, and on the other hand, there are all the people who don't want surely share the company values. For them, the question is more or less only the price. But sure that they buy our products if the innovator and early adopters they want and they buy our products, and so other people to go in our way, and so it's very important that the goal of the business should not be to sell to anyone, but to find people who believe in the company values, principle, and in the culture of the company. These are that can stay hour and hour to wait in front of the shop when the new iPhone is delivered. Who are the Y types? The Y types are people who dream, they who have a vision, those with a big imagination, hyperactive imagination. They must be with a big disposition to make and to search something new. They are focused on the aspect that others do not see as the future. This is Y types. And not less important is the how types. How types is people that live now and here. They are realistic and they have practical sense in putting ideas into practice. They are focused on creating structures and process to realize what needed to be done. And together, Y types and how types, if they work together, they can realize the what, the ideas, surely. A lot of time when we are planned in team, in work team, we can identify the different types, and if we can share our competence and our capability, sure we can go in the good goal. And so, in summary, we must every time to ask, why do you do what you do? What is your purpose? And how do you do what you do? And in the end, sure that we can find the right idea, the right what in the end. And for this, I try to better explain this. I try to share just a moment. Okay. I think that it's possible to see my screen, white screen in this moment. Yes. Can you check this? Everybody see my white screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, and now I try to better explain this concept in our practice to design, and I can do with a little sketch, and I start like this. I don't know. Yes, it's not a good sketch, but maybe you can understand. This is a pyramid, and we can divide our pyramid in three tiles. In the top, we can put the Y. This it is the Y. Okay. And in the middle, this part is the how. And in the end, we have the what. Okay. This is altogether our organization. It's not easy to write like this. And the why and the how together, if we can find the why we are doing what we do, together with the how, this is the culture. We must know and understand with what we are doing. And what our culture can define what we are doing. And the what, the output of our process is the only one door to communicate to the marketplace. And the marketplace is in the marketplace we can find people that can buy our products. We can find we can find money. Of course, we can find people that want to buy or not our products or our ideas. and also I don't know, customers and so on. Every contact with the world is made by the what, our products. But we cannot have a good product if it's not real clear our how and our why. And it's very important this, because we can also represent this pyramid, maybe like this, maybe like this. Okay, there is the top, and this is the Y, we say, and the in the top we can make something that is more or less like this. There is the how, and on the ground there is our what. But it's like this. If is clear our why, and we know strictly sure how we can do this, we can have a different what. This it is. And for this, it's important that we start every time from the top, from the why. Because if we start from the what, when we want to plan something, it's possible that this what can stay under another why. This it is. And so if we start from the what, it's not sure that we can go directly in the right way. Maybe it's possible also that we go in a wrong way. But if Sinek says in the golden circle that we must start from why, we say, I say, and in our school, we say that this is enough. This is enough. We must make another step, and if we are in the why, maybe for us it's not enough, because we must think also that our why can live together the who. We must, and we planned for people. And so we must start from the why and from the who. For who I planned. And for us to plan is not a static process, but is a dynamic process. And so we must go from the model of the circle to the model of the spiral. And so we must start from the what, who, and we understand the why, and to clear how we can plan, and our spiral arrive to define the what. But we know that this process, when we plan, is an iterative process. And so our spiral can go again from the beginning and to start again. And when we think this and we plan, and in our exercise, we must think also about other parameters, and is the when and the where. It's difficult to write like this. And so we don't speak about the mostly the golden circle, but we call this model the golden double spiral, because we make this process in this iterative way. And now I'm closing in short time. We can say that our main process in the project can be make like to realize the main project, and we must think about the who and the why, and we can make like a checklist for this, like a checklist, and after the how, and after we arrive to say the what, and we must think is it's right the time and the place when we stay designed. We know that the situation change real fastly, and so we can check. I think about the why, and it's clear the why and the who, for who I planned, and how I can do this, and what I do, and when I do, and where I stay project. But we know that when we planned like this, in every step of the project, we can have the sub project, the little part of the project. And in every little part, we can have to think about this double golden double spiral. And so we can think for this in the sub project one, and maybe I must think of why and who, and I start with my spiral and there is the how and the what. I define the what, and after I think about when and about where. And I go again from the beginning, and after the sub project 2, and the same spiral, and we start again, and why, who, and so on, and I define the what, and so, and after every is in connection, and there is the sub project 3 maybe, and another spiral, golden spiral, and so on. And so I can put everything together. And for every sub project, I can think about my checklist, who, why, how, and so on, and the sub-project 1, 2, 4, and every time I can check if in every step I analyze and I can arrive to describe till the end this process. And so to finish this part of the method to make a project, what I can say more, that it's important that our search of why, that is the start point of our process. For this, it's important that we are looking completely in the opposite direction to where we are now. Finding the why is a process of discovery. It's not an invention. We must search. And to search this, we must go outside of our comfort zone. We can go till the unknown land. We must change our point of view. It's something that can take us in this discovery, and it's important that we stay every time inside of our culture. What the how is important because we can know what we need to do what we want to do. And for this, I can stop this. And okay, I must stop in this moment. Maybe it's too long time, I don't know. But now Claudia Porfirione, my colleague from the University of Genoa, can start with the second part. Thank you very much for the attention.
Claudia, are you here?
Can Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello?
Okay, I try to.
Ciao Lorena.
Ciao Nicolò.
Mm,
Centro in basso.
sì, no, non mi fa condividere.
Se hai un Mac probabilmente devi autorizzare e poi riavviare.
Sì, mi devo riavviare per forza. Sì, niente. Devo uscire perché non mi fa avviare. I come back soon.
Vuoi passare qua? Just a moment, Claudia must refresh her computer.
Yes.
Just a moment. Se no io ce l'ho qua la tua presentazione.
Facciamolo da te allora.
Vieni. Qua ci siamo, Claudia, è inutile.
Ci devo guardare? Ah, ok.
Okay, at the end, a desk change is the easiest way
Ok.
to solve the problem. Okay. Okay, let's go.
Okay. So, sorry for the delay. I'm Claudia Porfirione, and I'm a part of a group, the DAD Research Group, since 1987. The PhD group develops research and activities focused on weak users, with particular attention on the effects of technological innovation. The DAD focus is research and to find solutions and strategies to improve the quality of life of weak users, especially weak users, and with a user-centered design approach and design thinking methods. I would like to start with a question. How can we innovate today? So there are significant tools that can inspire innovation. Design was always a catalyst for innovation processes in product and service development. But over the last year, with numerous publications about design thinking and the creation of special interest group, network, and specific graduate degree, the term has gained popularity in business media and become a label of awareness that any kind of business and organization can benefit from the designer's way of thinking and working. Design thinking is not merely the designer's mental ability, but can be developed and trained by anybody who wants to solve problems in a creative way, who wants to conceive new realities, and who wants to communicate new ideas. Today, design thinking is understood as a way of thinking which lead to transformation and evaluation and innovation, to new form of living and to new ways of managing business. There is no doubt that design thinking has much more to offer innovation management, but is still unclear to many managers and people in general, is the added value of design thinking for innovation in practice, and how to evaluate and choose the most effective design thinking model for their individual innovation practices. To the design community, the new design thinking concept offers an opportunity in their professional activities instead of applying knowledge merely to the creation of new products and services and so on. They can develop new tools which help organizations to move with more creativity and efficiency in innovation processes. Usually, the design thinking process is described as a series of steps. Take Stanford example, frameworks, for example, see the visual. In this presentation, we will see some of the most important design thinking models, and we will go deeper into some tools. According to Stanford University, design thinking is an iterative and non-linear process which contains 5 phases. The first is emphasize, the second is define, the third is ideate, the fourth is prototype, and the last is test. 2 authors and their books have mainly contributed to the reconfiguration of design thinking. Change by Design, How Design Thinking Transforms Organizations and Inspires Innovation by Tim Brown, 209. Tim Brown is CEO of IDEO. IDEO is one of the world's most influential design consultancies. And the other book is The Design of Business: Why Design Thinking is the Next Competitive Advantage, in 2009, by Roger Martin, the Dean of the Rotman School of Management in Toronto, with a background in management and consulting. Although both authors define and describe design thinking differently, they both explore its role and its potential. In the domain of design thinking applied in business and innovation, several process models have been published and defined as the most appropriate. Some of the best known models are the ACD models, Hear, Create and Deliver, developed by the design agency IDEO, and the Double Diamond model from the British Design Council, that we shall soon see in detail. Each model is centered to understand the people and their needs. For this reason, it foresees a general participatory or collaborative approach. The design thinking applied in social innovation processes foresees the involvement and participation of communities in the whole design process, from identifying the problems and challenges to idea generation, prototype and evaluation, the design outcomes. Designers not only develop innovative solutions by working in teams with the colleagues, for example, other designers, engineers, marketing specialists, etc., researchers, stakeholders, but often in collaboration with the final customers and users of their creations. In the participatory approach, the product user is seen as a partner in the whole creative process, from data research on to prototyping new idea and design solution. The general benefit of collaborative design thinking is obvious. Besides improving the image of a product, the well-being of the future users and their loyalty to the brand, co-creation, increase the effectiveness of creative and innovation process. In the design process, users are considered as experts in their interactions with and experiences of determined products or services. In 2009, in a book, Roger Martin, the Dean of the University of Toronto Rutman School of Management, described the concept of design thinking and how companies can incorporate it into their organizational structure for long-term innovation and results. The knowledge funnel is based on design thinking approach, on design thinking methods. Martin introduced the knowledge funnel as the process followed by leading businesses to innovate more consistently and successfully. The knowledge funnel has 3 different phases: mystery, heuristic, and algorithm. The mystery stage comprises the exploration of the problem, his transitions to the rule of thumb stage, heuristic stage, where a rule of thumb is generated to narrow work to a manageable size. And in the algorithm stage, the general heuristic is converted to a fixed formula, taking the problem into from complexity to simplicity. Which problems have features such as no defined formulation and no true false solution. In a solely scientific approach, for example, analyzing data, people are reduced to representative numbers, devoid of emotions. Design thinking, on the other hand, considers both quantitative as well as qualitative dimension to gain a more complete understanding of user needs. Design Attitude is a book that offers an alternative point of view on the source of success and competitive advantage of company such as Apple, where design plays a leading role. The book asks a question: what is the nature of designers' contribution that is truly unique to them as professionals? To answer this deceptively simple question, the author combines a multitude of hours of ethnographic study inside the design community, in-depth interviews with executive and the designers from Apple, IDEO, Philips, Nissan, and a follow-up quantitative study. Since the author comes from a management and not a design background, the book offers a different perspective to most publications in the area of design thinking. The thought of the book can be summarized summarized in 5 main points. The first is to emphasize at the start of the design project, you need to understand your audience and the environment in which those people operate. That's much more difficult than that it sounds. Obviously, everyone has their own frame of reference, but an unbiased attitude is critical to observe and describe people's perspective on the words objectively. Some needs are never articulated explicitly. It's the designer's role to find the needs that people may not even be aware of. That's why they say that if Henry Ford would have surveyed people, they had asked for faster horses, not for a motorized vehicle. So the second point is to define. Don't try to solve too many problems at the same time. Even if the problem is highly complex, you should tell a simple story of the problem that you want to solve. The third is to ideate. True innovation often comes from wild ideas. That's why an optimistic attitude will allow you to dream about an handsome solution. Then we have to prototype. You will convert your ideas into a design that can work in real life. So start with low-res design, for example, on paper or in cardboard, or as a role play or a storyboard. As long as it makes the idea tangible for the intended audience, they are on the right track. And the last point is to test. After prototyping, the moment comes to share your ideas with real people using observation or other feedback methods. You will learn whatever your design works in the real world. Every time you share your latest and greatest design with the real people, you will be put with your 2 feet on the ground. Then design thinking process is described as a series of steps. This is Kolko's frameworks, for example, and this is another example. In the book, Creative Clarity, a practical guide for bringing creative thinking into your company by John Kolko, the founder of Austin Center for Design. Kolko teach methods to drive trust among teams members to enable to critique and improve their work. In a creative environment, chaos is we gain clarity in the face of that chaos. So with his mindsets, method, techniques, and so on, we can build great product, great teams, and a high-performance creative organization. In this book, Kolko told us how to face a problem, and especially a witched problem. A witched problem is a social or cultural problem that is difficult to or impossible to solve for as many as for reason. For example, incomplete or contradictory knowledge, or the number of people and the options involved, the large economic burden, and the interconnected nature of the problem with other problems. So, for example, poverty. And Kolko told us how to face this kind of problem. But the double diamond design process model developed by the Design Council in 2005. The Design Council is a UK non-profit institution that works to tackle world problems through design solution. The double diamond is graphically based on a simple diagram describing the divergent and convergent stages of the design process, which gives the model the form of this double diamond. The model is also called the 4D model because the name of each phases starts with D. Discover, define, develop, deliver. What's different is this model from ACD's model is the visual mapping of these divergent and convergent stages of the design process, characteristic for design thinking. The double diamond model is used to guide the co-design process, which has 4 phases. The first is the discover phase, where problems are explored, insights and user needs gathered and ideas generated, and this is the divergent thinking. Then we have the defined phases, where problems are defined, redefined, providing a framework, and these phases are a convergent thinking. Then we have the develop phase, the third phase, where solutions are created and explored, and this is divergent thinking. And the last phase is when the service is or a product is tested and evaluated, rejecting parts that do not work and improve on those that do. And this is a convergent phase of design thinking. And now more in detail, we have the first quarter of the double diamond that represents the initial divergent part of a project, the discovery phase, in which the designer is searching for new opportunities, new markets, new information, new trend, and new insights. The second quarter, which closed the first diamond, marks the definition stage, a kind of filter where the first insights are reviewed, selected, and discarded. Then we have the defined stages, also covers the initial development of a project ideas, in which the designer must engage with the wide context of the identified opportunity. Then we have the third phase, the third quarter of the double diamond, that represent the period of development. As in the developed stage, the project has been taken through a corporate and financial sign-off. We find ourselves again in a divergent period. Then, in this stage, solutions are developed, iterated, and tested with the company by multidisciplinary team and under the use of design thinking tools such as brainstorming, sketching, scenarios, rendering, and prototype. prototypes. And in the last phase of 4D models, the convergent delivery stage, the final concept is taken through final testing, designed of, produced, and launched. While the first part of Diamond focused on current product and what the user is currently experiencing, the second Diamond concentrates on new solutions, experiments, and validation tests. Then, following on from classical design methodology, design process has been divided into several stages to facilitate the planning of project tasks, collaborative and production activities, and timetables. As other design method, also design thinking process as an iterative process. It is important to note the stages of design thinking are not always sequential. They do not have to follow a specific order, and they can occur in parallel or be separated iteratively. The stage should be understood as different modes which contribute to the entire design project rather than sequential steps. Design thinking starts with people. It observes their behavior, their senses, their needs. It's a user-centric method that starts from
Claudia and Nicolò, we cannot hear you anymore. I'm trying to reconnect Claudia and Nicolò. Can you hear, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me and or Claudia?
Only you as of now.
Nicolò? No. Io non so se...
Ok, mi vedi adesso?
Aspetta, un secondo che metto questo un attimo. Allora, sì, adesso ti vedo.
Ok.
Ok, ricondivido. Ok. Ok, scusate for the technical inconvenience. Let's go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So I'll go as fast as I can. So now let's see some steps in detail. Design thinking is an approach that relies on the ability of people involved in being creative. So it is characterized by tools and methodologies for the generation of ideas, such as how might we think of opportunities for designers, how might we method thinking activity which has in the participant no challenges as a question begin with how might we. The how might we method create an atmosphere for innovative solutions by reframing no challenges that surrounds your product, service, or initiative. For example, how might we design a product that makes our user feel confident and secure during their online shopping? And this is an example for how might we. The basis of design thinking is the idea of intense observation with all this and empathy. Understand that the essence of a project task designers try to get the widest possible range of information to the users and their future products. The search frequency with a review of existing literature on the product, observation technique, that interview with those observed, photograph and other visual registers and interpretations of the context of the user are most important for getting empathy and for clarify the project. For generating new idea. One method of uncovering new concepts or ideas that may be innovative as well as having a set market demand is studying the users. Establishing the user needs can be done in many ways, including market research, user research, information management, and through design research groups. Mapping the systematic organization of complex information in a communicable visual form is a process of looking for patterns, and creating meaning from the quantity of collected information by literature review, by your studies, or by interviews. Or observation, for example, the visualization of collected information about a project not only helps to communicate inside the group, but also to give new insights about the project. Each visual interpretation of collected information is a synthesis and serves as an impulse to new reflection. Brainstorming sessions as well, consist of a participatory idea generation session without discussing the idea or thinking them through to the end. The objective of the objective is to produce a large quantity of idea in a short time, and where emotion and intuition are most important rather than rational thinking. Also, there are many groups who work enthusiastically with with great success with brainstormings. There are also people who do not feel comfortable with this method in its revision version. So the reasons are, among others, the predominance of verbal communication and the presentation of standalone. Because of these drawbacks in classic brainstorming's variation areas such as brain writing and brain sketching, that are production of ideas through drawings made by the participants or the moderator. I would like to say something about the duration of the design thinking process. Design thinking process can have different duration, can be in order of hours, days, months, or years. Unlike other design-based approaches which have a defined duration. This is because the design thinking process prefers divergent phases and dynamics in which countless new ideas are generated through long moments of brainstorming. And prototype is the fourth phase of design thinking, where you identify the best possible solution. This is an experimental phase, and the aim is to identify the best possible solution for each of the problem identified during the first three stages. These solutions are implemented within the prototypes, and one by one, they are investigated and then accepted, improved, or rejected based on the user's experiences. By the end of the prototype stage, the design team will have a better idea of the product's limitations and the problems it faces. They also have a clearer view of how real users would behave, think and feel when they interact with the product. In this stage, it is important to argue in terms of reliability and validity of the idea and put unfamiliar concept in familiar terms. To take your preliminary ideas and form multiple small-scale design solution, it is important to create a sort of augmented reality where the vision of the problem is combined with the immediate potential of innovative solutions, whose positive and or negative repercussions immediately appear clearer. Personas, the term personas is used widely in online and technology applications, as well as in advertising. A persona is a functional character created to represent a user type that might use a site, a brand, a product in a similar way. A user personas is a representation of the goal and behavior of a hypothesized group of users. They are captured in 1-2 pages descriptions that include behavioral patterns, goal, skills, attitude, with a few functional personal details to make the persona a realistic character. A fundamental characteristic of design thinking is its human-centered approach, which expresses itself in a collaborative way, and designers work and in a participatory method of co-creation. Co-design seeks to involve a stakeholder in a process to ensure that the results meets the need, the people from whom it is designed. We are witnessing a shift in attitude from designing for user to the human-centered of designing with user. Co-design requires a partnership with the end users in the planning, design, and evaluation of programs, and promotes ownership and engagement with participants. The benefits of using a co-design approach include services and products becoming more user-centered, and realizing innovation, creating social capital, and, for example, empowering people to take more responsibility on their own well-being. By applying the tools, personas, and empathy maps, designers try to understand and interpret the perspectives of end users and the problem they face. Persona is a tool based on fictional characters, which helps to make the abstract idea of a group of users, personal and humor, created out of the insight from observational activities. Persona permits certain attributes of the users of a product or service to be exemplified. A persona is not a representation of concrete target groups, but seeks to reveal deeper insights into the various kinds of experiences that users are having, with the objective of being an impulse to the generation of ideas about how to improve those experiences. It is not just a stereotype. The characterization of personas, in addition, of course, to name, age, social class, cannot do without details such as training, socioeconomics, and professional ambition, hopes, fear, and the reason that push it to use a determinate product, the way in which it will interact, and its expectations. Then, the user journey or journey map is a graphic representation of the customer's experience, describes how the user interacts, for example, with the product or service or etc. Through its touch points. Touch points can be defined as any form of communication through users can interact with the product or services. It is a series of images, drawing, illustration, photograph, displayed in sequences to visualize process, service, or event. In the elaboration of the concept, it is very useful to test the sequences of users' interactions with a new product, service, or business model. This process of visual thinking and planning promotes a dialogue between all the participants. The draft of a story is frequently made with post-it notes that can, because their mobility. And then we have to reach the last phase of the second diamond, that is prototyping the best solution and collecting user feedback. Once a solution is chosen, it's time to build it together with the developers. Then you can start with low fidelity prototypes to validate the viability of the solution more quickly. In the design thinking, we do not limit ourselves to defining the step to imagine an idea or a solution, but we arrive to the concrete realization of this idea through a prototype. Such prototypes can be realized in development roadmaps or ever in real working models. As with sketches and the draft storyboards, rapid prototyping is a quick way of visualizing and materializing a concept. The purpose of rapid prototyping is to swift concrete something material that can facilitate conversations with partner, be tested with the user, redefined and improved, and finally discussed with the broader audience. Present your idea to as many people as possible, friends, teachers, professionals, and any other you trust to give insightful comments. Iterative design also always analyzes the solution for continuous improvement. Perfecting the process also means checking that the innovative solution to a problem meets fundamental criteria such as approval of the market, of the actors, feasibility, profitability, and economic sustainability. In the last phase of the design thinking process, new ideas and products are communicated to a public composed of colleagues, stakeholders, customers, users, and so on. Before the final delivery to the marketplace, high fidelity 2D or 3D prototypes are designed and improved. Reflect on all of your feedback and decide if or to what extent it should be incorporated. It is often helpful to take solutions back through the design process to redefine and clarify them. Designer or evaluator rigorously test the complete products using the best solutions identified in the prototype stage. It is this is the final stage of the 5-stage of the model. However, in an iterative process such as design thinking, the results generated are often used to redefine on one and more further problems. This increased level of understanding may help you investigate the condition of use and how people think, behave, and feel towards the product, and even lead you to loop back to a previous stage in the design thinking process. You can then proceed with further iterations and make alterations and refinements to rule out alternative solutions. The ultimate goal is to get as deep an understanding of the product and its users as possible. And that's all. Many thanks for your attention. And now I leave the floor to Emanuele Micheli, and Matteo Valoriani for the final part of the lesson. Many thanks, and feel free to contact me for any further information. Thanks.
Thank you, Claudia. I'm Emanuele Micheli. I can say hello to Matteo, that is connected. And I asked to the coordinator if we can start. Hi, Matte. So I can share with you a presentation. And after that, we can start. So, sorry, I have the same problem to share, but probably I can solve. Now see my screen. So I am Emanuele Micheli from Scuola di Robotica, School of Robotics in English. I am president of this no-profit society, and I am friend, and I have a long collaboration with the University of Genoa and the Dipartimento di Design e Architettura. So I'm very happy to be here, and I want to introduce not myself, but the School of Robotics is a small company that is working on educational field about robotics, educational robotics, and we are working on a lot of different fields where we link, we can connect robotics to different people with different backgrounds. So today I want to introduce our research, our product, and our project about humanoid robotics and elderly people. And after that, after some very quick analysis of our case studies, we can go at the end of this agenda with the project Mosaic, that is a collaboration with the 15 engineer and Matteo Valoriani that I can present after me. So I want to understand how humanoid robotics and ambient assisted living will be a good collaboration. And after that, I want to show you two case studies with two different humanoid robots, Now and Pepper robot. I want to understand if only humanoid robotics is the only one solution, probably no. And I want to present the post-human centered design. After that, we can start with the last two case study, the European project Journey to the World of Robotics, and the last one is Mosaic. So what is a humanoid robot? School of Robotics, Scuola di Robotica is working with a lot of different companies on humanoid robotics in different research fields. We have founded also another company called MadLab that is working with the professional field to introduce humanoid robots in companies, in welcoming, in hospital, and in different situations. So what is a humanoid robot? Probably is a robot has an interface as human. That is Sophia. We don't work with this beautiful robot. Is a humanoid robot, but is called Geminoid because it's very close to human. So you can see this robot, the appearance of this robot is very close to human. So this is a field of research very developed in Japan and in Asia. And Sophia was one of the most famous Geminoid in the world. But we don't work with Sophia, and we are working with the other two very famous humanoid robots. Pepper is the biggest one, and Now these two robots are considered humanoid. To consider a robot a humanoid robot, you need to find an head and two arms. It's not, we don't need to define a humanoid robot legs. In fact, Pepper is a humanoid robot for the categorization of humanoid robotics. And now the smallest one is a humanoid robot with 2 legs, so it's more humanoid than Pepper. But for us, it's very important to consider it together, these 2 robots as humanoid robots. Are produced by SoftBank. In the next month, SoftBank come back to the name Aldebaran Robotique, and we are developer partner, educational partner of SoftBank Robotics. And we are using these 2 robots in a lot of different projects, in educational projects, in hospital projects, and in caregiving projects. So I want to introduce you, and I want to show you how to use these 2 robots in different fields. Why humanoid robotics in ambient assisted living? This is a very important question, because from the research in Japan and generally in Asia, they want to introduce humanoid robots to interact, for instance, with the elderly people, to help them in physical action. They can be a physical support for elderly people. But in Europe and in US, that is not true. We don't want humanoid robot to help us in physical situation, but we prefer, and in general, also Asian, they have the same second issues. We prefer to use the humanoid robot as an interface. So we have to think humanoid robots like a case study where the humanoid robot can stay in our home, in our school, in our hospital, and can interact with us. So we can speak with the humanoid robot, we can speak with the body language with the humanoid robot, and the humanoid robot can speak with us, can interact with us, not only with voice, not only with body, but with these 2 form of communications together. So it will be very important, the introduction of humanoid robot as an interface in our daily life. Today, that is true, we don't have in daily life humanoid robot because there are a lot of issues, troubles to solve to have a good humanoid robot in every hospital, in every school, in every home. So it will be very difficult, but that is true. We can find Alexa, Siri, OK Google in our houses. And we started, and a big company as Amazon, Apple, or Google are introducing these vocal assistants in our home. And if you see, it's very easy to see Alexa in a house, and children can interact by the voice, elderly people can interact by the voice. But I ask you to spot the difference between a very easy device as Alexa and a very complex humanoid robot as now. There are a lot of difference. When we interact with Alexa, the only one way to interact is the voice. That is very good because the research and the production of the artificial intelligence system to recognize the voice and interact by the voice is at the moment at a high level. So we have a good feeling when we are interacting with Alexa. But Alexa is a small device put in our desk, and we don't have any engagement, only with the voice. Thanks to now this small humanoid robot, we can have an engagement. We can have high engagement. The robot can see you, can follow you. The robot is an artifact that the presence, his body, is a presence in your life, can interact with you in a different way. So today, the evolution of humanoid robot is not so high to put a humanoid robot to interact with us, to interact with elderly people, with children, but in the future, we can do that. So I want to start to show you some videos The first one is not from our companies, is coming from BBC, but it's very interesting because you can see Pepper in interaction with elderly people. So I can start with the video. I hope that is starting for sure.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, she was the angel of my life, she was.
Is loneliness a big problem amongst your generation?
I mean, you know they are, because no one ever goes to visit them. You know, they never see no one, you know. And they go down to town about once a week or twice a week to some shopping, and that's their life, you know.
What about the idea of a robot for a companion?
Was that male or female?
Bill, you haven't drugged anything for 2 hours.
Hello, Pepper.
Hello.
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 Oh dear.
We could do this forever.
I know we could.
The elderly population is growing, it's a real problem. And there's not enough young people to actually support that elderly population. So there's this demographic time bomb.
Do you want to dance with me?
What dance?
Oh, okay. I'll dance alone.
No.
Bill's taking to her.
So I stopped the video because I want to underline some highlights of the video. In this video, you can see Pepper is the white robot, is the second one, is this robot, and there is a wow effect. There is a good wow effect at the beginning in the interaction with the person. But wow effect for us is danger, because wow effect is dangerous, because we need to continue the relationship. There are a lot of experimentation in Europe about that, and obviously for researchers it's very important to design an interaction between the humanoid robot and the elderly people in this case, because this is a summer school on active aging, that can be continuous, and we cannot allow to have only wow effect. The statistics is very good, the wow effect is very long, but we need to be useful. If you remember the pyramid presented by Niccolò Casildo, the why, how, and what, the danger of robotics is we start by the ground, by the what, and we lost the why. And why in this case is help elderly people to don't feel alone, to be interact between an entity as a robot and them. But after that, we need more, not only a toy. We don't have to consider this robot a toy. So I want to present our case study. The first one is a case study in a shelter for elderly people affected by Alzheimer syndrome. So we work to produce an interaction with different level of interaction. I can start the video, but I can speak over the video after the first part. So you can see the now robots, and the now robot can understand the voice and have different level of interaction, not only the voice. So the movement is very good. And we introduced this robot in a center for Alzheimer. And you can select it in the button at the top of the head, different activities that the therapist asked us. One of the most successful demos was the music. So people ask now to introduce music, to put music like a sort of DJs. And after that, one of the things that we work with now, and in this center for Alzheimer, very famous center is Paese Ritrovato, close to Monza in the north of Italy, we work in the concept of memory to create a weekly event that the elderly people affected by Alzheimer recognize and remember. So the therapist told us that we create memory. That was very nice for us. And another thing is no judge. This robot, humanoid robots in general, robotics can be, when they interact with the person, they don't have a judge. When we interact, a human interaction, probably the person can feel a sort of judgment. So they don't feel good. And thanks to the robot, we can work on that. But obviously, we don't want to substitute robotics with humans with robots, but we want to introduce robot as helper, as a sort of support of therapist. We don't want to substitute therapist. So it's the therapist that introduce in the center the robot and start the dialogue, that they are driven robot dialogue, but we don't have time to explore this part. A second case study is ROSA project, is in collaboration with the University of Genoa, with Niccolò Casido and Claudia Porfirione, with MadLab, with Ospedale Galliera. That is very interesting project where Pepper can teach movement for a light fitness for elderly people. And in this case, our why is we want to help elderly people to do light fitness every day. And we want to monitor, we want to record, we want to help doctors and therapists to know the improvement of our patients. So I can start the video and you can understand that we have a problem of time, that is a short video.
Siamo pronti a cominciare. Dovrete fare questo movimento, saliamo con le braccia, ci fermiamo un momento e continuiamo a salire. E poi riscendiamo con le braccia lungo i fianchi. Iniziamo, copiate i miei movimenti. Uno. Qualcuno di voi non sta facendo bene l'esercizio. Dai, sollevate bene le braccia.
So sorry for the Italian, the video is in Italian, but we are not in a hospital, but only for a reason of privacy. We create this video in our space, but that is very interesting because all the elderly people that follow the exercise with Pepe are very happy. We stopped this research during the COVID period, and we hope in the next month, after the summer, we can restart our research about that, because the power of this project is it can be a product for the hospital, but not only for the hospital, also for fitness centers, because you can introduce a machine that can follow not a person that is used to go to a fitness center as elderly people, can create a community, and the doctor can follow what happened. So we can have a medical human feedback using this machine. That is very nice, and we want to bet a lot in this project. I want you are students, so you are PhD students, so you have to know that to put the robot in the hospital, the road was so long. We started with the research project in design, followed by Francesco Burlando, that is a collaborator of Claudia and Nicolò. We asked all the permission to the ethical committee of the hospital, and it was not so easy to overcome all the requests of ethical committees. Find the participants is not so easy, and different languages, body languages, voice, so videos, we put all together different level of languages. That is important to remember, not only humanoids. So with elderly people, with children, we can use a lot of different robots as Paro, that is very nice and is very useful. But I want to go forward. There is an important slide that is when you are designing robotics, you don't have only to have humans in the center of your design, but also environment. Is not only for robotics, obviously, but when we are working in putting a robot in a collaboration with the human in general, we have now to remember that the environment, it will be very important. So we need to have a new approach to the design, not only human-centered, but also environmental human-centered design. So that is important. Other case studies, Journey to the World of Robotics, is a European project founded by Erasmus+, that is very interesting because we are collaborating with super aged countries as Italy, Germany, and Japan. We are connected from Genova. Genova is the oldest city in Italy and the oldest city in Europe. So it's very interesting. We discovered that for elderly people, the elderly people today, they are using smartphone, all of them, but they don't use the other technologies. So it's very difficult to put a robot in a collaboration with elderly people, and we have to remember. So in this project, we are preparing a course, an educational activity for elderly people that will start in September. So the result we know during the fall. So the last case study is to connect it with my friend Matteo Valoriani from 15 Ingenium, is the project Mosaic. Mosaic is not a project for elderly people, but for children, and was born for autistic children. So in this project, we started from the concept of inclusion. So our why was introduce a good relationship between autistic students and the other mates. So there are a lot of histories behind Mosaic. For instance, some of this project was born thanks to RoboAble, that is a project created by Claudia Porfirione during her PhD and before during our exam with Nicolò. So we are very happy to connect with Matteo, and I asked Matteo, okay, I can see you now, and you can share your videos, and I give the stage to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Emanuele. Okay, you see my desk?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm Matteo Valoriani, and thank you to invite me. I'm the founder and the CEO of a company called 15 Ingenium. We are a technology company, and we focus on emerging technologies. For instance, we started to work 6 years ago on mixed reality. That is one of the trend of the moment. But in our history, we keep the focus a lot on how to use technology to improve also therapies, or in general the quality of life of people with a disease of different kind. I have also a PhD. My PhD was focused on KeyNet, so a lot of times ago, but I work on KeyNet, how to use motion analysis to improve therapy, especially cognitive therapy. And now with 15 Ingenium, we continue to maintain an attention on disabilities in general, in particular on autism. The project Mosaic was born between the joint venture in one sense of my company, Ingenium, quality robotica, and many other specialists in the field of the children with disabilities and with the support of CARI. Before we start to talk about the project, just a few words about design. Keep in mind when you design a product, you have a multiple dimension of design now. Standard 2D user interface that is a traditional mobile or desktop application. But today we have also one-dimensional user interface like the voice, like Emanuele introduced before, or 3D user interface that could be augmented reality or could be a robot, a physical object. So,
Matteo, excuse me. There is a problem probably with your audio. We cannot hear you very well.
Okay.
It's something that going and leaving.
Feel me better? I stopped my video and I hope that the audio could be better.
Yes,
okay.
It's got, yes, it seems a bit better.
Okay, I try in this way. So, however, also keep in mind that you need to be a magician. Technology could be very complex, but for the final user, technology is not important, it's important the result. So, and our goals like designers is try to hide the complexity of the technology to have a product that is simple to use, and eventually also simple to adapt. Just after this short introduction, I'm going to start to introduce you Mosaic. We start from a problem. Well, if you think of the school 200 years ago or 100 years ago, and you look at the school today, is not changing. Honestly, the same rooms sometimes, and a lot of times so the same approach. But what has changed is the disability process change a lot in our culture. So we need to have a school more inclusive. At the same time, try to use technology to support teachers. A lot of children with disabilities enter in the primary school every years, but a lot of times teachers are not trained, not ready to support the needs of the students. So for this reason, we create a Mosaic that is a mix between smart objects and also a platform to train the teachers to use technology to favorite the integration of children with disability, cognitive disability in the classroom. We define three main goals. First of all, create awareness on autism, that was the main focus, but in general on cognitive disabilities. Keep the focus on education and diversity, and finally tries to support as soon as possible the inclusion inside the classroom. I show you a short video just to give you an idea of what is Mosaic. Mosaic includes some cubes, very simple cubes that try to hide technology inside in simple shapes. This cube can be manipulated by the children, and each of them can be interacted with other objects or with the space with the other element of the kit that is called Momo. It's like a joystick. But as you see, the point is try to create a very simple application, easy to use for the teachers and for the students. So how we keep the focus on primary school and immediately before kindergarten and immediately after middle school children. And the kit is composed by the object, by some activities, because we we learn ourselves that we need to give some predefined activities to the teachers to simplify the adoption, and a platform where we can train the teachers. At the same time, we can use this platform to programming new activity. The standard kit we decide to include 6 cubes and 2 controller that we call Momo, with some smart tags. So typically standard NFC tags. So they are very simple but very useful to create interaction with the physical space. The editor is very simple. It's a totally visual editor, but I come back later on this one. And on the other side, we have a Mosaic Academy, one place where we can teach and train the teachers online, but also we organize physical events. In the last picture, you see me and Emanuele in one of the training events. And finally, this project will be has been tested before the COVID. Exactly before the COVID, we started testing in 21 schools with over 65 teachers and 840 students. We make our first trial, and in this trial, we keep the attention on the opinion of the teachers. And sorry, the last part is in Italian because our image is coming from the report. But the 91% of the teachers said that they improve the knowledge on disabilities and also create inclusion activity for all the classroom. And in general, the 88% report that a kit like Mosaic improve the group activity. So it's not only for children with disability, but to work with all the classroom. We ask also to the students, to the teacher, to have some information, some evidence about the target, the specific target, in this case, the autistic children. And over the 94% report that was a positive, very positive experience, and we have a real impact on social interaction. And finally, we try to ask also to the children their opinion, and 85% think or report that it was very happy. So we use a very simple way with the face to vote the experience. But how we design Mosaic? First of all, we need design for children. So we start to define personas. In that case, the personas for the children was very easy to identify because in that context, typically we talk about medium, low, medium, and high level of capabilities. So we keep these 3 levels for the personas for the child. But the most interesting has been define the personas also for the teachers, because in general, when you talk disability, you need to think also not only to the person with the disability, but also the caregivers, because the caregivers have a big impact on how technology can be applied and used with the people with disabilities. In this case, we define 4 different personas. Sara, the teacher that is smanettona in Italian, so she like interact with technology. She work every day with technology. She's very enthusiastic. The other one, Elena, the expert, not expert, so she think to know everywhere about disabilities. So initially don't care probably about the training, but however, she need to be guided in the use of the technology. Then there is Lucia, the teacher with a very high level of attention on the children, and she know that is not super trained, but she know that they need to learn how to use the kit, how to use technology. She want learn and to improve itself and the activity with the children. And finally, there is Dino. It's happened. So is the typical teacher that received the news at the beginning of the year that in his classroom there is a children with disability. It's his first time with this kind of disability and really don't know how to approach the children. So starting from this division, from the personas, we design all the journey of the experience for the teachers. So from the moment then they receive the kit, the physical object, the setup, the training, that the training could, in that case, could be online or in person, the use of the app, probably for training, testing, or whatever alone, and finally the use of the kit in the classroom, and finally eventually report or sharing of their experience with other students or teachers. Well, each of them have a totally different journey, because based on the personas, for instance, Sarah, probably the teacher with that is very comfortable with technology, probably jump the training and she won't install immediately and start to use, but then probably she come back in the training after a few interaction because she won't improve his experience. Otherwise, we have other personas like Lucia, that is the very linear experience because is the perfect user in some sense. She follows step by step all our guide, and finally, the most interesting, to be honest, Dino, the teacher happened to me. He also follow all the step of the journey, but probably they have more critical aspect in the use, and he need to be trained more in presence like that online, and we try to keep engaged and simplify the activity. So we started from this persona, so we define the journey, and then of course we started to define the objects. The design an object for children with disability require a lot of attention. Luckily, we collaborate with a team of multidisciplinary experts. So here you see the first prototypes from paper to 3D printing, the first semi-definitely design and final the running device on the right. And we study a lot, for instance, the size of the object. We decide with the expert that we want two kinds of object, one that is easy to manipulate with a single hand, and another one that need to be manipulated with all the two hands. In this way, we can address also physical movement totally different from one device to the other one. In addition, of course, we immediately need to start to a real production because 8 devices for each of the kit, 21 kits. We produce over 160 objects. So we need to develop a very engineering process to assemble the device. For instance, this is a part of the cube. An example of the step that we developed for the cube. On the other side, there is an electronic component to be engineered, and so a lot of things. But at the end, we arrive to the final prototypes, and then the real product, the final product that the school used during the experimentation, and also today continue to use in everyday activities. Well, this is the design of the physical object, but in our case, we need also to have an editor. We want to create an editor to program all the physical object and create new activities. This is very important because we want that the teachers are able to personalize by themselves the activities or create new without know anything about the coding. We take an example, different kind of visual editor, some that are very famous, like a Blocky from Google, Scratch, that is probably one of the most famous. In the technology environment, is very famous also Node-RED, that is a visual editor developed by IBM. Or coming in the gaming sector, here you have an example of Nintendo Labo editor. So we try to keep the best of all of them, and we design in a very collaborative approach starting from the paper. So we try to imagine how to create an editor that can be easy to use to simplify the creation and define what's happening when change or interact with element. So we start from the paper, we create cards for each of the element, we define some tags to indicate the action or the property of the element itself. And so at the end, we are right to define a visual editor that is a combination of all that you see before. Typically, we define an initial state, that is the blue one. In the state, you can insert all the object. For each of the objects, you can define if the object is, for instance, in lighting or vibrating or other things. Then you have the action state, that is the green state that you see here on the right. And in this action state, you can define one object that, for instance, is tapped or is moved or other things, and these generate an action that changes the state. So it's very visual. So eventually, then I can give you an example, show an example of that. So we design the object, we design the digital editor, but then of course we need to design also the activities with the school and with the teachers. So keep in mind the focus of the mosaic. Create, use the technology like a medium to create engagement and try to overcome the limitations sometimes that disability create inside the classroom. So we need to create a very collaborative and emotional environment. So we decide to have a multiple level personalization. Each of the object can be used alone. So with a free exploration, so without programming, without anything, you can switch on each of them, and you have a free exploration mode. Then you can use a set of ready pre-configured activities. We create a book, a paper book also for the teacher, where they find all the activities that we already create. We are talking about around 25, 30 activities with all the possible, some recommended possible variation. And then, of course, starting from them, our teachers can personalize and customize the activities based on the needs of the customer, of the children. We try and we recommend to the teachers to do it, because every children is different with different needs, different characteristics. And finally, if the teacher want, they can customize and create from scratch one new activity using the visual editor. I give you some, I try to show you some example of the activities. This is the free exploration. So you see when the child move the object, that is activate the different LEDs. And then there is also tag that you can, when you, in this case, they shake the controller and they change color according different combination, or when you move or tap on the cube, you can change the color and the illumination. Of course, I told before, you can customize, or we create an object that could be customized by the teachers also on the physical side. So for instance, on each of the cube, we have the possibility to add an insert. There is a small space that allows to have a paper insert on the cubes. So the teacher can personalize with images, or they can add different materials like silk or other texture to have also a tactile perception. They can personalize with add-on, like on the right, for example, for Halloween, we prepare and we share with the teachers some add-ons, easy creation, easy paper add-ons to customize each of the cube and the controller, or for we have activity for Christmas and Easter and many other things. An example of personalization where we have a simple matching activities. So the teacher said the name of animal that is the child need to follow and select the correct animal one by one. So when they touch the correct cube with the Momo, it started to be illuminated. So it's a very simple way to improve and personalize the object, but a lot of teachers like the simplicity, also this one. Then of course, some of the teachers explore also the creation with the editor, and in that case they can add also personalization on the digital side. For instance, the cubes talk each other with and talk with a PC, and on the PC we can show images, video, or reproduce sounds. So in this case, you can create a very rich experience that is not only the physical object, but also digital elements on the screen or on an interactive board. Here's another example. In this case, the child on each of the face of the cube, you have a character, and you need to create the story, to recognize or create a story about when you find all the chart of the same story. On the video, you see the video that told the story to the child. So it's very simple experience. Behind that, there is also in this case simple matching between the face, the correct position on the face, and the orientation. Is a very simple trick, but very effective and engagement for the child. Of course, you can, based on the child, you can customize and create more and more complex activity. Typically, each of our activity are described with a video, like in this way. So step by step, the teacher can learn how to use the device, how to set up, and this, for instance, you need to replicate the sequence. When the child selected the wrong cube, like in this way, you need to restart. And only when you select the correct sequence, you complete the activities. This simple sequence activity can be customized in an infinite way, with the story, with the numbers, and many other. So the important thing also in this case is introduce an approach to design these activities with the teachers. We create a lot of the workshop with them. We create activities where we ask to the teachers to draw some images or try to image how to use, and the results are very good. An important thing also in this case, when we design the kit, we keep in mind the typical assets of the school, that is papers, some pen, and not many other things. So you can customize very easily with the object. So here are the images of a lot of personalization on this kind of device. And Just to, I like to show you this one. These are, for instance, for medium high level cognitive level. You can use the device also for mathematics or other learning activities. In this case, you need to recognize the dots on each of them and associate the dots to the number. And then you can start to make simple addition or multiplication and division. So it's a simple way to associate, to help children to associate visual numbers to count. So keep in mind the target, primary school, children with cognitive disability with medium high level of difficulties. So this is an example of a product design for disabilities. And there's a lot of more things about this project. We keep to push the project and diffuse in the school in Italy. And there is a more and more attention in the details. Just to give you, you cannot touch this cube in this moment, but we study the texture of the cube. We study, for instance, on each of the face there is a small dots that you can to identify each of the face simply touching them. So we keep a lot of attention at accessibility. Just to give you some highlight for the future, what's the next technology that's arrived? Emanuele told before about robots. In general, I think that the future will be a blend between the physical and the digital world. It's a mixed reality world where when I talk about mixed reality, it's not technology point of view. You need to keep in mind this mixed reality world is a combination between human, so the computer and environment. When you have human and computer, you talk about the human-computer interaction. Otherwise, you can, when we work in the environment, the computer have the perception of the environment. So mixing all together, we created this mixed reality world where the digital world and the physical world blending, sometimes mixed together, and you can decide to use in different way. So, for instance, of course, smartphones are the main device in this moment to access to this digital world, and the smartphone is for every age. And keep in mind also, we will be old in some years, so also the digital native will become older, and but keep the knowledge and the habits to use technology. So the smartphone, however, today is the main device to access to the digital world. But I think I find very interesting the virtual assistants and also the conversational agent in general that allow to have a very smooth interaction between environment and people. And finally, new generation of glasses for mixed reality that probably are not immediately used from everybody, but already 6 years ago we started to test for therapy, for Alzheimer's therapy or cognitive therapy. So if you need to image a new service, a new way to support people with disability at any age, keep in mind that these technologies are becoming very, very popular and will be the base for the future of interaction. So I finish here, and I'm very happy to interact with you if you have some question or other, or you want more details. I'm very happy to share with you. Also, Emanuele, if you want to integrate something on Mosaic.
No, is enough. Is enough. Thank you, Matteo.
Okay. Do you think that we have finished. It was a very long afternoon. You have continued without any break. So I imagine that our students are quite tired. And usually now you have to complete the evaluation form. Andrea today is not here. I'll send it to you in a few minutes the email with the link, but anyway, I'll put all the links for the different forms even here in the chat. Consider that today you have a lot of forms to fill because we had 4 teachers, so the work for the assessment is increased. And if there are any questions, obviously, I think that Nicolò, Claudia, Emanuele, and Matteo are ready to answer. No? It seems that there are no questions. Okay, thanks to the teachers for there is a question. Any application of mixed reality for persons with autism or rare disease?
Yeah, of course. There is I introduced before, we are working also in this case with children. In this case, mixed reality is not used by glasses, but we project on a room. We create an interactive and a mixed reality room where the children can interact not only with the objects like in mosaic, but also with the environment, projecting a virtual world on the walls. Other examples of mixed reality used for autism, we are creating training material for teachers or people that work on disability. So it's not directly for autistic children, but we try to give us a way as a perception, simulate the perception of autistic children, or create a critical situation where the caregiver can be interact with this simulation. So, and try to learn how to respond and interact with children with autistic when they have a critical, in critical moments. Other examples of use of mixed reality for therapy is using for rehabilitation with Alzheimer, because that's allowed to have a mix between the physical element and also the virtual one. So we have the flexibility of the virtual world, but at the same time keep the people connected to the real one. So that could be some example, for example, for memory matching and many other things.
Okay, thanks for the answer. Okay, other questions? Okay, it seems no. Okay, so again, thanks to all of you, and we will see again on Wednesday for the last lesson of this school, that will include both a technical presentation and some interesting experience from clinical side. So we will finish with a two different approach to the use of technology for elderly people. Okay, see you on Wednesday. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.